I'm Fifi, and this is Going Deeper with the Lord. I'm continuing to share the things that I'm learning about relationships. So today we're talking about one of the things that I have realized while doing life one-on-one with the Lord. I have realized that there is no mastery in doing life with God. We will never get to a point where we say, I figured out doing life with God. I know how to deal with tests and trials. There is no mastery. That is why we are called children of God. Whether you are 2 months old or 103 years old, we are all children of God because we don't get to a point where we grow to be adults in the Lord and then we go independent and we don't need the Holy Spirit anymore. No, we do not outgrow the Holy Spirit. That is why we have Him as a gift that was gifted to us to help us walk this walk of faith. We have to totally depend on the Lord. That is why sometimes we're going through something that we have gone through before. We don't say, oh, I've been here before. I know how to handle this one. I know that the Lord taught me how to handle strife or misunderstanding with humility or with love. No, every time something hits, it hits the flesh first before it hits the spirit. Let me say, for example, you have a misunderstanding with someone that you live with, and then the Lord tells you to go and apologize. And maybe He says, show some love, extend grace to them. When you go through the same thing the following day, you won't say, oh, I remember what God said yesterday. No, it's going to hit the flesh and it's going to hurt. Sometimes God presents these tests and trials in order for us to see the progress in our journey. That is why sometimes you go through something and then you handle it with grace, you handle it better, and you realize that if I had gone through this misunderstanding 5 months ago, I would have gone off and start an argument or go back and forth with this person. And you are able to realize that, oh, wow, this doesn't face me anymore. So this only happens when we abide, when we stay close to the Lord and we are in the Word and we cultivate a prayer life. Total dependence on the Holy Spirit is key, because if we don't depend on Him, we're going to use other tools, and those will not be His tools. And we are not going to see growth in our lives. Sometimes God allows the test to show us areas of weakness so that we can be attentive to know that, okay, I'm struggling with impatience, or I'm struggling with unforgiveness, or I'm struggling with holding grudges. He highlights those areas so that we're able to be aware of them, so that when we get into an argument, if you're struggling with unforgiveness, you will be sensitively aware that I know what I should be doing right now. I know that I have to go and make peace. Even if you refuse to make peace, but you will have a conviction that you have to do it. And you will know that unless I address this thing, I won't get over it. Sometimes when God is highlighting areas that need growth or that needs attention in our lives, areas of weakness, He is showing it to us so that when He gives us a test that addresses that area of impatience or unforgiveness, we are able to do it in order to get it right in that moment. But it doesn't mean that even if we get it right in that moment, on that day, the following day when, or next week or next month when we deal with it, we're going to say, oh yeah, I've mastered that. I know how to forgive. I forgive easily. When God is presenting us with opportunities to learn how to forgive, we will be able to know that this is my area of weakness. And you will have an underlying conviction that it is up to you to fix it. It is not for the other person to act right. Whether they act right or not, the thing is that I am struggling with impatience and I have to pass the test of impatience when it is presented to me. So I cannot wait for the other person to change. Whether they change or not, it is my responsibility as a child of God to overcome these obstacles. But even if we overcome them, we don't get an A and then say, well, I have graduated, I don't need the Holy Spirit anymore. No, we need Him all the time. That is why we even see sometimes seasoned believers falling short or falling into sin. It just shows us that No one is immune to sin, and no one ever gets to a place of excellence. We are all God's children, always will be God's children until we transition to be with Him. But in the meantime, as long as we are on this side of heaven, we have to depend on the Holy Spirit. Sometimes we can talk about it. We can tell others to forgive. We can tell others the benefits of forgiveness. And then after preaching to somebody to learn to forgive, we will be presented with an opportunity where we need to forgive. And the flesh is still going to struggle. What we have to realize in doing life with God is that it is the flesh that is always affected, but the spirit has to rise above the flesh and be able to deal with that matter in order for us to move forward. It is the spirit that overcomes, because we are growing to the likeness of Christ in spirit, not in the flesh. Friends, that's what I wanted to share today. God bless you and have a great week ahead. I'll see you on Friday. God bless you all.